Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we are going to learn about the life of Kaká. This will be a simple and easy to understand biography, perfect for practicing your English listening. Let's get started. In the golden warmth of a Brazilian afternoon, on April 22, 1982, a boy named Ricardo Isaacson dos Santos Leite was born, though the world would know him by a far simpler, sweeter name, Kaká. The story of his name itself carried the innocence of his childhood. It was his younger brother, Rodrigo, who, unable to pronounce Ricardo, simply called him Kaká. A child's small mistake became the signature of a future legend. Kaká's early life was not the typical football fairy tale. He did not grow up in poverty. His father was a civil engineer, his mother a dedicated teacher. He had everything he needed, but still, there was a fire inside him. An unexplainable drive that no comfort could soften. His dream was not for riches or fame. It was for beauty, for the magic that only a ball at his feet could create. From the earliest days at Sao Paulo FC, Kaká danced on the fields like a spirit set free. He moved with a lightness that coaches couldn't teach and defenders couldn't catch. There was an effortless poetry to his game, a rhythm that came not from training alone, but from somewhere deeper, a soul in love with football. Yet life, unpredictable and harsh, nearly stole it all away. At just 18 years old, a playful leap into a swimming pool turned disastrous. A fractured spine. Doctor spoke carefully. "You may never play again." For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. But Kaká, even as a teenager, carried an unshakable faith. He did not sink into bitterness. He prayed. He trusted. And somehow, beyond all odds, he healed. Fully, perfectly. The doctors called it lucky. Kaká called it a miracle. From that moment on, every step he took onto the field was a prayer, a promise kept. In 2003, the great doors of AC Milan opened for him, and Europe would soon know the name Kaká. In the Grand San Siro Stadium, among the roaring crowds, he became a maestro of elegance. He wasn't the strongest, he wasn't the flashiest, but he was the most beautiful to watch. Long legs striding like poetry in motion, eyes scanning the field like a master painter studying a blank canvas. He scored goals that made crowds gasp. He passed balls that seemed to defy physics. And most of all, he made football look pure, untouched by greed or ego. With Milan, he conquered Italy and Europe. Serie A champion, UEFA Champions League winner, FIFA Club World Cup winner, and in 2007, the ultimate prize, the Ballon d'Or, the crown of the footballing world. In that moment, Kaká stood alone, the last before the duopoly of Messi and Ronaldo. He stood not just as the best player in the world, but as a symbol of another kind of greatness. Humble, radiant, full of heart. But the journey was far from over. In 2009, Kaká answered the call of another dream, Real Madrid. The Spanish giants brought him to their kingdom for a then-record transfer fee. He wore the famous white shirt with pride, ready for new conquests. Yet fate, always writing its twists, had more trials in store. Injuries haunted him, lingering knee troubles, repeated setbacks. Time after time, just as he seemed ready to fly, he was pulled back down. But true greatness isn't just how high you soar, it's how deeply you endure. Kaká never threw tantrums. He never cursed the club, the fans, or the heavens. Through pain and disappointment, he remained himself, kind, graceful, faithful. He added to his legacy still, lifting the La Liga trophy and the Copa del Rey. But the world could see that his body, so once effortless, now struggled to follow the music in his heart. Later, he returned briefly to AC Milan, seeking the familiar embrace of the red and black. And then, a new chapter across the ocean, Orlando City SC, where the sport was still young, still growing. There, in the wide-open fields of America, Kaká found something precious, joy. He played not as a star chasing glory, but as a teacher, a guide, a bearer of the pure love of the game. Even surrounded by less skilled teammates, Kaká made every match an act of art, and every goal a whispered reminder of the player he had always been. Internationally, Kaká's story was woven in gold. In 2002, he was the wide-eyed youngster among Brazil's world champions, lifting the FIFA World Cup trophy early in his career. In later years, He was the leader, dribbling through defenses in yellow and green, head held high, inspiring millions with his grace. And then, in December 2017, with quiet dignity, Kaká stepped away from the field. No fireworks, no headlines shouting farewell, just a simple announcement, a soft closing of a beautiful book. He walked away from the spotlight the same way he had lived in it, humbly, gratefully, faithfully. Today, Kaká is not just remembered for his trophies or his statistics. He is remembered for the way he made people feel. He reminded the world that football could be art, that greatness could be kind, that success could be humble. In a world where noise often drowns out beauty, Kaká's career was a melody, soft, powerful, unforgettable. When fans close their eyes and remember him, they don't just see a man scoring goals. They see a man pointing to the sky after every goal, whispering thank you to a higher power. They see a man who never stopped smiling, even when the road grew hard. They see a man who lived, played, and loved the beautiful game with all his heart. Kaká didn't just play football. He floated, he danced, he prayed, he dreamed, and in doing so, he made us dream too. Dear Kaká, I don't know if you'll ever read this, but I have to try. I have to put into words what you meant to me, to all of us. It feels like such a small thing compared to the incredible legacy you've left behind, but I need to say it anyway. When I first saw you play, I was just a kid, wide-eyed and filled with wonder. You weren't just another footballer. You were an artist. The way you dribbled, the way you passed, the way you moved, it wasn't just skill. It was something greater. It was poetry in motion. I remember those moments when you'd score a goal, and instead of turning to the crowd to bask in the glory, you'd look up. Your eyes would shift upward, and your hands would rise toward the sky. It wasn't just a celebration. It was a prayer, a reminder that all of this, the fame, the adoration, the trophies, was a gift. And it humbled me. I had never seen someone so graceful, so grounded in the face of such success. You taught me that greatness doesn't have to be loud. You taught me that humility and faith can coexist with the fiercest competition. In a world where athletes often seek to build their own legend, you didn't chase that. You let the game do the talking, and your legacy grew larger than any boastful claim could ever be. Through your battles with injuries, through the highs and lows, you showed us that it's not always about how high you climb, but how you stand tall when life pushes you down. You stood tall, Kaká. You did it with strength, with grace, and most importantly, with love. You made me fall in love with football, but more than that, you made me believe that good things happen when you lead with your heart. Your faith was never a symbol for show, but a real, shining beacon. You played with purpose. You played with soul. You played with a quiet fire that inspired millions. I can't imagine what it must have felt like to walk away from the game that gave you so much. But I hope you know that you left behind something more valuable than any trophy. You left us with a memory of who you are, a true champion of the heart. You've inspired us to chase our own dreams, to find beauty in the struggle, and to always, always point to the sky when we score our own victories, big or small. Thank you, Kaká. Thank you for everything, for your humility, for your art, for your grace, for showing us that sometimes the most beautiful victories are the ones we can't see, the ones we carry in our hearts. You'll never truly be gone, because you live on in the beautiful game, and in all of us who still believe in the magic you brought to the pitch. With all my gratitude, a forever fan. If you enjoy the video, please like, subscribe, and share.